So there's an albergue on the Camino that is famous for its singing nuns. And someone told me about this and said, you have to go. So when I walked into this village, I found the monastery slash albergue, and there was a lineup going to the door to this place. And of course, once again, when I got up to the front, I got the last bed in this, and got my bed and went down to the front lobby, and this is where the singing nuns were hanging out with some volunteers and stuff, and all the people that got beds, some of the pilgrims were all sitting there in this room, and they sang some songs and asked us all at a point to, say your name, where you're from, and why you're on the Camino. So I think I probably said something like, my friend passed away. I'm Audra, I'm from Canada, and my friend passed away and I'm doing it for her. And they got around the group, it went around, and it got to this guy, and he said his name is Al, and he said he was from Nanaimo, which is close to where I was born. And he said, you know what? I don't know why I'm here. And that was that. So cut to many days later, I had seen Al, I think one other time, where we're in this incredible village where one albergue, the one I found, was literally an oasis. You've been walking 6 hours on these dusty pathways, and then when you get there, you go through the door into this huge courtyard, and it's full of sculptures and green grass, and there's a pool. It was weird. It was the only place that was like that. And but there's this other albergue down the street that I happened to come across that was this really unpleasant joint, and Al for some reason chose that one, and he was sitting outside all by himself having yogurt. And meanwhile at the albergue I was staying at, people are drinking beer, there's music, and there's a couple restaurants, and it was literally a mirage, an oasis. I went into a swimming pool. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. So it seemed really sad that he was sitting there by himself eating yogurt at this other albergue that was so lame. And anyway, cut to another day. I was in the deserty section. I can't even remember the name of it. A lot of people skip this section. They'll just get on a bus and skip it because there's almost no shade. You have to carry twice as much water. It's really challenging. And I was in that section, I believe. And I had gone through a village, and when you're on the Camino, there's fountains all the way along that you can fill up your waters with. It's safe to drink, really good water. But this one village, their fountain said, don't drink the water. It had a sign. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need more water. So I went up to the door of someone's house in this village, knocked on the door and said, can you fill up my water for me? Not even. My alarm just went off and cut me off. So anyway, where the hell was I? Yes, so cut to a day. I went to this village and I asked this woman to fill my water up. And I carried on down the way. I kept going. And somehow I ran into a priest. I'm hanging out with a priest. What? And he was just a normal guy. What do you know? And I was getting really fatigued. I was unusually fatigued. I couldn't understand it. We were talking and walking together, and it was really interesting being with this person. You'll meet people along the way. I walked almost the entire Camino by myself. But here and there, people come in, and you walk maybe 2 hours with them, and then someone has to go pee, so you just keep going and you don't see them again, and whatever. I prefer to walk alone. But anyway, at this day I ran into a priest. That sounds like some kind of joke, right? And I remember at a point, I had to sort of stop and put my hand on a tree, and I was sort of going fuck, why am I so tired? Ugh. And he was really neat because he was trying to work some stuff out for himself. And so we were talking about things like that, trying to figure out a life, small things like that. But anyway, we finally walked through to the town, the next village, the end of the day, and I walk around to this albergue, and I'm like so tired. And the entire time I'm on the Camino, I'm going to the like big, huge albergues with like big room, or some of the rooms say like have 8 beds, some have like 50, some have, you know. This day when I got to the albergue, and when I first got there, I gotta remember the story straight. Al was there, and this was a hard day. I remember it was really hot, and you had to like wind up this dirt road, and there was like some old ruins on the top of this mountain, and you see them at the very start of the day, so it's amazing because as you walk, it slowly just starts getting closer and closer to you, so it's absolutely beautiful. It was hot as beep. It was a hard day, a really hard day, and I get to this albergue, and Al's there, the yogurt guy, the guy from Nanaimo who didn't know why he was on the Camino. And he's sitting there having a beer, which was really weird because he, you know, I never seen, it was unusual and it was weird that he was there before me. And he was sitting with this gal at a table and he was having like a Stella Artois or something like that. And I'm like, commented, I'm like, Al, you got here before me. Like, holy cow, you were fast today. And he was like, oh, I don't think I was that fast. And I don't think I said it, but I think he was at least 72 or something like that. He was no spring chicken. He was an older man. And he was like, oh, I didn't feel that fast to me. But he seemed so happy. He seemed like he was like getting into the thing. He wasn't just isolated and eating yogurt. He was getting into it. It was beautiful. But I was so freaking fatigued. I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. So when I went up to get my bed and pay for my room, that's the only time I think that I got a semi-private room, which is slightly more money. And it was only like 3 or 4 beds in this room. I go up to the room and lay down, and right away my mouth starts watering. And I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna barf. You know when you know you're gonna get sick? So I was like, I almost started freaking out because I can't stand barfing, like, you know, who does? But I like had to have this conversation with myself, and I was like, Audra, you need to be a warrior right now. That's that. You're gonna get sick, and that's that. Just go and do it, because, you know, I'll prolong having to barf for like way too long, and then you're just suffering even longer. So I got up, went to the bathroom, and projectile vomited. You don't want to know this, but I'm telling you anyway. So violently, I had barf like up to my knees. Like it just was like, and I cleaned myself up, went back to my bed. Half an hour later, it happened again. I had to get up, do it. It happened 3 times. At this point, I had no water left, and I'm all alone in this room. No one else is there. And when I had gone through, like, first got to the albergue, everyone's like drinking beer and having fun and, you know, just relaxing after a long day walk. And so I'm like, like all alone, like I gotta go get some more water. So I walked down to the main area, and it was a totally different vibe. Everything had stopped. Everyone looked totally forlorn. No one was happy or smiling anymore. It was, and I was like massively ill and had no energy. And I was just like looking around and I'm like, what? And I saw a girl I knew and I said, what's going on? And she just turned her head and like looked that way. And I turned and looked, and Al was laying on the concrete, and it was absolutely 1,000,000,000% clear that he was dead. And there's a group, and I apologize to the family if you happen to come across this video. I'm sorry. All this huge group of people were trying their damnedest to resuscitate him, like forever. They worked on him and worked on him and worked on him, worked on him. And I was just like, holy fuck. Like, so, but at the same time, I was super ill and I had to go lie down again. So I just like got more water. They ended up putting a sheet over him after they tried everything, I mean, they were not giving up on this poor man. And then eventually the ambulance came, but it took forever for some reason. But I basically just had to go back upstairs and lay down because I was like dying. And yeah, so that Al went to the Camino to do that. To me, he's like a cat. You know, you hear stories about cats will like crawl off. Oh my God, I'm gonna start crying because my cat just did that, I think. Yeah, it's like he left home to go do that, so his family didn't have to witness it or something. So this video goes out to beautiful Al from Nanaimo, who did a huge chunk of the Camino, and as far as I know, he died happy. I saw him right before he had a heart attack, and he was happy when he left this planet. So love to Al, and that's that story. Thanks. Not funny at all, I know.